So, I have tried 3 different methods to propagate succulents. I have tried putting them in dirt, I have tried putting them in a glass jar of water, and then I've also used my Aerogarden to try to propagate these plants. And propagation just means taking a cutting from one plant to make another. So with propagating succulents in these 3 different methods, there's one that's really going to come out on top, one did relatively well, and then one did diddly squat. So please watch this video, because even if you don't want to propagate succulents, these different methods are great for propagating almost any type of plant. Like, I have used just a jar of water and a cutting from a tomato plant to grow a new plant, and it's worked out really well. And I love propagation because it's something that you can start indoors anytime, and then when the time is right, you can take it outside and plant it. So I will show you the 3 different methods, and you just try what works for you, and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to gently take the succulent leaf off of the succulent. That is actually called the mother leaf when you start doing these propagation methods, because what will happen is that the new plant will grow from the end of the leaf. So you need to be gentle when you're taking these off. I've seen many angry succulent moms and dads with a lot of these propagation videos say you're being too rough with these succulent plants. So I'm trying to be just as gentle as a lamb in taking these succulent leaves off. Next, we need to take the leaves, and they need to harden off at the ends. So you just put them in some sort of container and let them sit around for, I've seen anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks. I think for these, I let it wait a week. And yeah, it's the ends that need to harden off and kind of scab over so that the propagation will go successfully. And we are on to method 1. So I am going to take, here it comes, it's coming. Okay, so I'm going to take a container that I ate a frozen meal out of, and I actually really like this because it's got the little, I think it was like a healthy choice steamer, and it's got the little basket inside, and that gives it room to for the water to drain out when you actually moisten the soil, and that way the water just doesn't sit there and the soil rots. So I'm just, people get really precious about the type of soil that they use for propagation. I'm just using regular moisture control potting soil from Miracle-Gro, and I'll tell you why. I have plants that I've set next to my succulents, and some of the succulent leaves have fallen off, and they've just repropagated in the other plant. So I know that this works. So now I'm just kind of testing to see how quickly it does work. Okay, so I've got my hardened or my scabbed over succulent leaves, and I'm just going to put them in the bed of dirt that I've created. Now we're on to method 2. I'm going to propagate it in my Aerogarden. So this is a grow sponge, and I'm going to make room for my succulent. So it's got a little hole there. I'm using my husband's fancy scissors to cut this, don't tell him. And I am cutting a slit in the side, and that will give it room for my succulent leaf to actually go inside there, because some of these succulent leaves that I pulled off are really big, and so they're going to have to fit in there somehow. So I just stick that sucker in there, and we are good. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is to put it in the little grow basket for the Aerogarden. So you just take the sponge and the leaf, and then you stick it in the plastic grow basket, and then you're going to put it inside the Aerogarden. So this is what it looks like when you put the grow baskets with the succulent leaves inside the Aerogarden. And what you want to do is make sure that the scabbed over part is pointing up. And if you'll see in the bag that I had one where the leaf was pointing down, and that was silly of me. I shouldn't have done that, because nothing will grow, because what grows is what's on top. Okay, so this is the final method. I have just a glass jar with some water in it, and I have covered it with some plastic wrap, and I will stick in my succulent leaves at the very top. I'm using that kitchen knife so I can kind of poke holes toward the top and stick the little leaves in, but as you will see, it didn't work too well. I kind of had to hold my tongue just right to be able to get the leaves to stay in there, because there it goes. I stick it in there and it just falls right in. So that didn't work. So now I am going to recover it and I'll actually probably just cover it twice with plastic wrap, and then I'll stick my succulent leaves in there. Okay, so this is what it looks like after 22 days of growth. This is in the Aerogarden, so I've got some little leaves coming off the top, but it really didn't grow that much. I can tell there's a little bit of white fuzz growing around there, which Aerogarden tells me it's normal. Diddly squat in the jar, nothing. And then this was the best. It grew this much after 22 days, and then eventually that bigger leaf that we took from the main plant will fall away, and then once it's brown and shriveled, you can just pick it up and take it on, because those new little plants, they're already growing roots, and they're going to go in the dirt, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be great. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I would like to hear about your succulent adventures in the comments below.